Hello, and welcome to a beginner tutorial on how to create a Guitar Hero-like game in Unity. We're going to be using a keyboard, not like a guitar controller, but feel free to use whatever controller you want. But we're going to make it go about a keyboard, and basically we're going to have a song playing, and notes will come down, you'll press the notes. I'm going to be using the Song of Storms for my song, the version from Ocarina of Time, because the notes are very clear. There's enough sheet music to look it up and get a good idea of where the note should be, or you can just do it by ear. So I'm going to have 10 notes ranging from A, S, D, F, G, H, J, K, L, and semicolon. So that's like your natural positioning on the keyboard plus G and H to make it a little interesting. So you do have to move your hands a little bit, kind of like on expert mode in Guitar Hero. And so we're going to need activators, which are those little tiny things at the bottom of Guitar Hero that hit the notes and then the fire shoots up. So to begin with those, I'm going to place this little thing in. And before I start putting them in a row, we got to actually program our activator. So I'm going to call it the activator. And I'm going to add a component to this activator. And I actually already made an activator script so I could warm up the script editor for us. I don't have to wait for it to open. So from the start, all of our activators should be prefabs. So we're going to drag it into our prefabs folder here. And all of our activators need a Physics 2D circle collider that is a trigger, so we can see if other notes are inside of it. So, depending on what's inside of it, when you press the button down, it will activate. So we're going to need a few things. We're going to need a public key code, and that's going to be whatever key the activator is linked to. And our key code can be called key. And we're going to need our color, which isn't actually a part of this. So for now, this should be good. And all we're going to need to do is void on trigger enter 2D, our collider 2D called col. And if that col is a note, so if col dot gameObject.tag is equal to a note, then we're just going to destroy the note for now. Destroy our col.gameObject. Very simple. If there's a note inside, it will destroy the note. But we don't know, we can't do it on enter actually. We also need to check to see if we get the click. So this is where it gets a little bit weird. Right now this will just destroy a note when it touches it, but we don't want to do this unless we press down on the note. So when something enters, we want to make our thing active or not. So that's why we need a boolean. We're going to call it active. And that's always equal to false by default. So on trigger enter, active is equal to true. Equal to true. Okay? And now on our void on trigger exit 2D, collider 2D called col, we want to make that active equal to false now. And this will decide of whether or not we can click down and will destroy the note or not. Now, as for if it is a note entering, instead of destroying it, we're actually going to make it just save whatever game object it is. So we're going to call it game object note. Okay, and our note is going to be equal to the col.gameObject that enters it last. Now that we know what's inside of us and we're active or we're not active, we can decide our logic here. So if we get our input dot get key down, and that will be our key code key, whatever we decide that to be. If we get that down and we're active, okay, then we can game object or destroy our game object. Not this game object, the note game object. So we destroy our note. So if we hit the key down when the note passes through us, we destroy the note. So right now we have a fully working activator. We just need notes, and I'll show you what I mean. So if I take this activator here and I set this key to be the F key, wherever that is, down in our letters, equal to F, right? When I press the F key, it will activate the note and it will destroy anything inside of it. But as for now, it won't do anything because there's no notes inside of it. Let's say I go to my sprites and I drag in this circle here. I'll make it a different color just to distinguish it. And give it a physics 2D box collider or circle collider. And I'm going to tag it with, I'm going to give it a tag. I think I made it note. We take this note, we tag it with note. Okay. Now we have our thing here, and now when we touch it, if I press F, it should destroy it. Ideally. And the reason why it's not is because it's not a physics 2D object. So it's not actually recognizing the collider. So we'll turn off gravity, make it a physics 2D object. Now when I press F, it destroys the object, but only if it's inside of it. If I make the object here, okay, I press F, it doesn't know it's there yet. It's not inside of it. If I move it down slightly on the end there, and I press play, press F, it destroys it. However, if I do the same thing, but I pull it out of it, and I press F, it won't destroy it. It can only destroy an object inside of it. Actually, I'm not going to delete that. I'm going to show you a better demonstration. I'm going to attach a gravity scale to it now. Now it falls, and when I press F over it, it deletes itself. However, if I were to have pressed F before it hits it, nothing will happen. See? That's a good note, I guess. We have a note, it moves with the gravity scale, and it can have a velocity on it. So we're going to call this our note, and I'm going to make it be white by default. Okay? We're going to drag our note into our prefabs, and now we have a standard note. Okay. We have notes and we have activators, but there's no way to really distinguish them. I kind of want to make my note look a little bit different. And to do that, I'm just going to do some sprite work on it. So I'm going to drag a little circle onto our note, make it one layer above. I'm actually going to put it in a note layer. Put this sprite, the default circle, in the note layer. Put the sub sprite in the note layer. Now I'll zero this out. And we'll make it be like a grayish color. Scale it down to like 0.3. Maybe 0.4. There we go. Now we have some sort of distinguishing on it. And we're going to make it actually a little bit smaller too. We want the outside, because right here it's actually bigger than our thing here, because actually we're going to make this 0.9. Make the activator scale be about 0.9. Just so it's not 1 unit, but a little bit smaller. We'll apply that to our activators, and we want to make our notes the same way, maybe even a little bit smaller, like 0.85. There you go. That could be our note. And now for our note, we can just change our color, whatever one it's supposed to be, so on. Because if you play Guitar Hero, there are notes that slide down, and then you hit them when they go over the activator. So this system's good. We don't have any score or anything, and our notes don't move down yet. So that's probably the next step, making our notes move down at a pace we like. There's many ways to do this. We could do it about the BPM of the song we have. We can do it at a constant speed, and we just have to adjust it and about, ballpark it. We're going to do the ballparking method, unless I decide later that BPM is better. But basically, you want to find the beats per minute in your song, convert it to beats per second, and then find the speed at which your thing should travel down. So let's do that. We're going to have in our void update a rigid body is going to have to be imported first, actually. So we're going to take our rigid body 2D, RB, and in our awake, RB is going to be equal to get component, not get type, get component. There we go. Rigid body 2D. So now in our start, we have our rigid body 2D, and we want to head at a constant pace. So we can constantly apply a velocity, or we can get rid of any sort of angular drag and just set a velocity from the start. So I'm going to do that. There'll be no drag on it, no gravity scale, just moves. We don't even need to move in the X position, and we don't need to freeze it, and we don't need to rotate. We could freeze all those things on our note. So you go over to our note, and we can now do rb.setVelocity, or rb velocity equals new vector 2. And now we can set our velocity. So we don't want to move in our X. We do want to move in our Y at the speed of the note. So we're going to call that a public float speed. And this will be the speed at which our note moves. We're going to make it a negative speed, so if we put in a number, it would just make it a negative number. We don't need an update for now, but I'm going to leave it because we might need it later. Now our note doesn't move at the start unless we give it a speed. So let's say our speed is 2. Now our note moves down at that rate of 2. And it shouldn't slow down. It should move at that constant speed the entire way. It looks a little choppy. Now you just want to find whatever speed you feel comfortable with. Obviously, the faster notes, you're going to have less time to activate it. It's going to be more precise. Make sure these are lined up over your other notes. Oh, by the way, you might want to put the note, the activator in a different layer too. So our note moves down, and if we press F on the note, then we can collect it, and it destroys the note. If we press F before the note, there's no penalty, but we might want to make a penalty if you press F while your thing isn't active. So it comes down, and boom, you destroy the note. But that will come when we make our rock meter and other stuff. I want to make the background a different color because I'm not a big fan of that color. Maybe I'll go for a modern approach and make it a dark color. There you go. The notes come down, press F on it, and then you collect your note. So I'm going to call an end to this video. Tune in next time though. We'll make a whole row of these. We'll get the notes coming down and we'll start working on score. So thanks for watching. Keep up with the tutorials and see you in the next video.